we have a choice every time a dollar passes through our hands. We can either spend it or we can put it to work.
Welcome to Learn With Us, brought to you by 3o3andyou. We are a team of 4 non-financial advisors who are exploring a revolutionary new financial approach that goes beyond money to prioritize your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. Through weekly meetings and engaging podcasts, we strive to help you improve all aspects of your well-being as well as ours. Come join us on this journey of growth and self-improvement because at 3o3andyou, we believe true wealth extends beyond dollars and cents. Happy learning!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learn With Us, brought to you by 3o3. Today, we're going over part 1 of Retire Before Mom and Dad, which is Your Superpower. It's chapter 4, 5, 6, and 7. How's everybody doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
It's a great day to be alive.
Every day is.
True that.
So, our superpower, which we all should get now because we're part of the freedom fighters. Is that it, or the...
Yep, freedom fighter.
Nice.
Freedom fighter. It's kind of cheesy.
Freedom fighter, yeah.
I was going to say, I haven't
There's no
decided if that's like super nerdy or not. I'm okay with it, but it is kind of cheesy.
What do you guys think we should call ourselves? Leave comments.
Anything's better, probably.
The debt destructors?
But apparently it's a real thing, the money multiplier.
Well, it's not even apparently. We've put it to work. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah, it's wild.
So today we begin with chapter 4, the money multiplier. And I just want to start off by reading this quote. The world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow sharper. W.B. Yeats.
It's like the glass thing from the last book that you just see. There's things out there you don't see because of the filters we got, I feel like. So once you get past that filter, you can see all the magical things out there.
That is true. That's kind of like when Juan hated rich people. Well, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't rich people, but...
Wow.
Sorry, I called you out, man.
He said it multiple times before. He's had a resentment towards the
But now
wealthy.
his views have changed. The foggy glass has been removed. I can see clearly now. The rain has gone.
Is that true, one?
I don't know. What is true is that we fail to see money for its potential when we look at it. And we just look at $1 for $1 or $5 as if they were just $5. But if we thought about the money multiplier, then we would see that
You waste the money, not only the dollar, but the future
the
dollars
money that it could have made. Yep.
No, that's something that I was really getting from this time, is that I was like, it's not, it's what you keep, as we keep saying, but not even what you keep. It's what you got working.
One of the parts I like in the book, it says, we have a choice every time a dollar passes through our hands. We can either spend it or we can put it to work.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. Well, I don't know if it's this chapter or the next one, but where he's talking about how if you, it's the 720 rule.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm butchering it.
Yeah, it's
752. That's
chapter
6
or 7.
6.
Oh,
No,
but
7.
But it helps explain this, that how much you waste for a cup of coffee over 30 years is just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that $4, you tell yourself it's $4 a day, who cares? But really, you're spending $100,000 potentially.
Well, I feel like this, it kind of ties in with this and the book we just read, because that's why you have to live off of a percentage and save another percentage. Like, don't go.
Yeah, he kept bringing up the 5%. I thought that was funny instead of 10.
I like the 10% better. I think the 5% makes it easier for people to get started. From what he's saying, maybe.
I think more people buy the book that way
because it seems easier. All marketing.
Well, yeah. Well, he kept doing that throughout the chapter by telling us to go to his website, which is okay. It's fine.
You can watch this at
Retire Before Mom and Dad. Something that he said on chapter 4 that was super cool is that money or dollar bills, I don't know what he said. I think he meant money, are your best employees, because they'll never complain. They'll never quit. They'll just work 24/7 and then whatever money they produce will also work for you.
It's our slaves from before. They've now upgraded to employees
Yeah.
over the last 5,000 years.
Yeah, he gives the example of when you tell someone, like a normal person, do you think you could ever be a millionaire? They'll probably tell you, what? No freaking way. But then if you think about it, and let's say you only save, I think it's $250 a month or 200 and something bucks a month over your working years. So let's say whatever long you work, most people work for 45 years. So if you only save $250 a month for 45 years, you would end up with $112,000. And that's there's no way that you can be a millionaire like that. But this guy says, well, if you invest it, then that would have turned into 1.7 million
Maybe
over 45 years. So that's the power of that's the extent of the money multiplier, the superpower that he's claiming we have.
See, I kind of think that's why he keeps using the 5%. It's like just to get people going. Because it's like, look how much you'll have over the 45 years just by saving this little amount of money.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't trying to argue that 5% isn't a good start, but I feel like it's not enough. Only because it goes along with the 10, 70, 20 rule. And he kind of brings that up, how you have to have house expenses. I mean, you got to have food and you got to have electricity, but besides that, the rest of it is really something you want. You
But
don't
that also
need.
leaves room, that rule that you're talking about also leaves room for enjoyment, because you can't cut out everything. You'll drive yourself crazy.
And that's the biggest point. What's the point of living if you're sitting here making it a hard time for yourself? It's supposed
What's
to make
the
it
point of
easier.
living if you're not living?
Just budget your living.
Yeah. I guess one of the best takeaways I can get from that chapter, from chapter 4, is that you don't have to, technically, potentially, all you have to do is change the way you spend money, and technically anyone in the US can become a millionaire. $250 a month, literally, over your working years, which you would have worked anyways.
It's actually 208.
Yeah, it is. So $208 a month over your working years, which you will work anyways, because you just have to work. Work is part of living. Then you become a millionaire. 1.7 million over 45 years at 9.3 interest, which is the average.
I like the examples because they show you that if you don't do it, how much you've lost.
Oh, the next
And
chapters, yeah.
It's just like, that's the part that hurts the most, is because you always say, oh, I got 5 more years. Well, look what 5 years does.
Yeah.
Look what, even 5 more minutes, it's like, you need to start. You should have been started 5 years ago. I mean, imagine all of us, if we could start at 18 again, like, we'd be done by now.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, the money multiplier basically is the amount that you get. So that would be the interest, then the time, and for how long you're doing it, and then the money, how much.
It sounds so simple, but it really is that simple. It's 3 factors.
Yeah.
It's like making a cake. These are the ingredients.
Dude, it's like the Triforce from Legend of Zelda.
It's the only way you can defeat your debt.
You need all 3 superpowers combined: amount, time, and money. Yeah. The amount basically would be dictated by your education. Like, how good are you at reading companies? Then you'll invest it in good companies and you'll get a bigger return. Time is basically your patience. How long, how far ahead can you see? And money is your self-control. How much discipline do you have that will allow you to invest as much as you can? Super cool. I like it. Maybe I am a freedom fighter.
Convinced me. I guess I don't like how he kept saying that you don't get a raise. I get how he's just saying it to make it simple, but there's no way you can work for the next 45 years and only make that 50,000.
Right. Yeah, he also assumed that you would never get a raise.
It just seems unrealistic. But you still can be a millionaire even if you never did get that raise. So if you think about it, you could put every dollar you got from that raise into investing at that point.
Oh, bro, do
Yeah,
it.
if you acted as if you just kept the same spending habits the whole time.
No, but what would happen after what, 15 years or 30 years, even less, let's say 15, 20 years, the $250 are actually going to feel like $100 because money will have devalued. Ooh. Oh, but
So,
that's something to take into account. Oh, nobody does take into account.
well, that's why I feel like he was doing 7% instead of
Yeah.
9, because 9 doesn't include inflation.
Mm-hmm.
That was my assumption, anyways.
Yeah, I think he does talk about that, about how when you retired, the money's not going to be worth as much as it was when you started. That's why the compounding interest and the returns help for the percentage.
So time would be our next big factor, which
TikTok.
time is pretty simple. I mean, start now. You're wasting time. I mean, I don't even know what else to say about it. If you're not started today, you're wasting money.
Dude, the quote, lost time is never found again.
You have to say who it's by, though.
Benjamin Franklin. Bro, it must have been nice to have been led by really smart people. You know, when the US first started, presidents were smart. Oh, I'm
I
going
wonder if
political.
all
Take
that's
that back.
true.
Huh?
I wonder if all that's true, though.
Yeah, these guys were geniuses. Like in their own
Own
right.
Oh, no, for
Yeah.
sure.
Like Einstein.
Maybe there
Maybe
should
not.
be an IQ test. You're right.
Yeah, like their IQ was off the roof for sure.
Oh, and he talks about the magical penny on this chapter.
Oh yeah, that it would be worth 4 or 5 million if you invested it 300 years ago, or
225.
225 years ago. Yeah, but it got sold for $1 million. That was crazy. I never even thought of doing that kind of math, like with a penny.
He says if you delay 5 years, you lose almost $700,000. If you delay 10 years, you'll lose just over $1 million. And if you delay 20 years, you'll lose almost $1.5 million.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy.
you really can't afford to wait.
Yeah, don't delay to invest today.
Imagine just saying that instead of saying, "Oh, I can wait." Just say, "I can give up $1 million." Like,
Well, delaying even
What?
a year can cost you a lot of money.
Thousands.
So yeah, like
wow.
I think back to, oh, I wish I would have started investing 20 years ago. I mean, sorry, not 20, 10 years ago.
I wonder, the same way that we say, "Oh, I wish I would have started investing 10 years ago." 45 years from now, we're gonna say, "Oh, I wish I would have stopped drinking coffee 45 years ago."
It's the same deal.
I think we will.
Well, it's as we said in the last book. It's habits. Once they're formed, they're hard to break. So it's, the coffee's the same as much as the debt you collect. You think it's normal and part of living.
Yeah, the first chapter was the chapter 4 was saying the difference between your needs and wants. Like, okay, maybe you do need coffee in the morning, but do you really need a $7 dessert coffee from Starbucks?
Or could you pour one yourself for
Are you
half?
taking stabs at me right now?
What? No,
Yes, you are.
just I know that everybody spends money on coffee.
It's even Dunkin' Donuts. I know everyone at work comes in and has 2 or 3 of them.
It's like a
"Oh, I'm gonna need
status
this all
symbol.
day." I'm like, "You need 3 coffees?" And then they end up dumping half of it. Like, "Oh, it got cold. It got warm." It's like, what? But you just spent $8 on that thing.
I will add more ice to mine if it all melts. I'm like, I am not dumping this out.
It
How
hurts
much
me.
money have I saved over my lifetime because I don't like coffee?
You don't even know. So much.
That's pretty much it for 5.
Oh no, dude. He was talking about that example of the 2 people that start investing, the difference of time. He mentions a person who, let's say 2 people start working at the same time, and then one of them starts investing immediately, and they invest the $208 a month from last time, but they only do it for 10 years. And then the other person goes, I don't want to start saving now. I'm just going to wait. And then they wait 10 years, and then they start saving. Now, what happens is that the first person stops saving after the 10 years and just goes and do her own thing. And the second person has to keep saving for the next 35 years, I think. Yeah, until they both retire. it turns out that the first person ends up with more money even though she invested for less.
No, that's amazing because she started before.
Yep, because she started
And
before.
just the amount of money it's making from its own interest is making more than he can even keep up with.
Freaking wild. Yeah, start today, don't delay. Start today, don't delay. Because the losses add up. Dude, the last thing he says though, there's hope if you start late. He does say that.
Oh, I like how he's like, and if you're in your 40s or 50s, mom and dad, thank you for joining us.
I'm gonna be in my 40s.
Oh, jeez. Mom and dad?
Whoa. Yeah, one of the bartenders at work just hit me with a ton of bricks. Jesus.
Took off your rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, man. I thought, oh, you're right. I'm old. No, I'm not old, but I'm not the younger generation anymore.
Chapter 6, think small.
Be faithful in small things because it is in them that your strength lies. Mother Teresa.
I like this story because he talks about his own mom. How she's the teacher that you like mess up at school, and she drives right home to your parents, doesn't even tell you or nothing. Just you be sitting at home, and all of a sudden she's knocking on the door. Why are you not doing your homework? Can you imagine being that son? You're like, oh God.
I've met teachers like that.
I had one my senior year. I was like, that's it, I'm quitting. She's like, okay. And then started throwing these GED books at me. She's like, all right, let's start reading these ones since we're not going to graduate high school. Like, oh, geez.
That's funny.
Like
She
one way or
called
the
you
other.
out right away.
One way or the other, you're getting a high school diploma.
She instantly called you out.
Is he talking about brings up the $5 bill every time she finds when she says that? Is he bringing that up saying that it doesn't matter how little you save, like put something aside?
I got that he was just saying there is no like you have to put in 20% rule. Like to her, it's every $5 bill, but at least she's investing something. I mean, she started.
Because he puts it into context. He gives the rule of 752. Well, he gives two rules. He gives the rule of 752. And what that rule tells you, it'll say how much money you would have, how much money those $5 would mean over 10 years if you invested them at a 7% return. So let's say you have those $5, or in this case, $4. He does the math with $4. So you get those $4 and you find $4. How many times a week do you come across a $5 bill? Would you say more than 3? At least 3 times a week you come across a $5 bill.
Easily.
So if you take those $5 bills, those 3 times per week, and you invest them, you would end up with the result of multiplying 12 or 15 times 752, which is actually, it would mean 10,284. So after 10 years, just taking out those $5 3 times a week, you would end up.
You're doing the wrong rule. You're saying 752. That's rule 857. You multiply that $4 3 times a week, which is 12, and then you multiply that by 857.
That's exactly the 857. If it's a 9% return, I'm talking at a 7% return.
No, my bad.
It's okay.
It does get very confusing if you don't have the book. I'd recommend you get the book because even if you are listening to it on Audible, it gets very confusing.
So I read the wrong total.
Yeah, so
it's less than 10,000. He doesn't do that math.
No, that's why I was saying you were reading.
Okay, so he doesn't do the math for 7%. He does it for 9%.
So yeah, what I was saying is it's the 857 is what Juan was reading. It's take that $4 3 times a week, 12, and then multiply that by 857, which is $10,284.
So that's actually more real because 9% is the average for the market.
9.3.
9.3. That's wild.
If you do it by this 752, it's $9,024.
That was for 10 years, right? The 752.
10 years, yeah.
Wow. And that's a $5 bill.
Yeah. So, yeah, he says, think small.
That's actually hilarious. Think small. But it really is the most important. Think about all the small what was it, the cave example we did in the last book where the light goes through the cave? But if you can patch up all those lights, then, if you patch up all those small holes, the money's going to stay in there even better.
Yeah, just really quick, having the book or looking the book up online helps because in some of these chapters he is spitting out just a lot of numbers, so it's kind of hard to follow along sometimes when all you're hearing is a bunch of numbers being spit out.
Yeah, that's a good point. All I end up hearing is dollars, dollars, dollars. He does mention another one, for example, eating out 2 times a week. It's cool that he says it costs $15 each time you eat out.
I thought that was hilarious.
Seriously?
I'm like, where?
Yeah.
McDonald's?
Eating out 2 times a week, that's at least $60 a person.
A person, yeah, that's what I thought. He was saying for both of you.
Well, it depends. We can eat out both of us for $30. We just did it yesterday.
But that's because you were thinking about it. But
and that was just one time.
As a cheap way.
Yeah, so this guy says that you eat out at least twice a week. So his math, let's see, his math comes out to be, if you eat out a week, 2 times a week, or let's say just 1 time a week, and you spend $30, you would have missed on $25,000, almost $26,000 after 10 years.
I mean,
Makes
that's
you
a car.
wonder.
That's literally a car.
A good car too. Yeah,
a good car, brand new one
like
off the
car.
lot.
Yeah, over 45 years eating out, so $30 once a week over 45 years is 1.4 million.
That's ridiculous.
Like, I need to learn how to cook.
And you tell yourself, well, I have to eat. Well, you don't have to eat for that price.
Yes. You need the food. You need the sustenance. You don't need the
steak.
Taco Bell, or whatever, the steak. Burger King. Burrito. Chipotle, I know.
We talk it, but it's hard to live it.
You're making me hungry. I like this part. He says in the book, we've been conditioned to believe that there's no point in investing small amounts of money, but we now know that this is a lie. Small amounts of money invested over time can change your life. So even if you stopped eating out once a week and invested that money, it would change your life.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't think about that. At first, you don't have to be like, we're not eating out ever again, because then you're going to be angry about it. So just try it to cut it down to half as much, and then cut it down half again, and then cut it down to 0.
Yeah. The guy, well, I can attest to this. He says that changes won't make you less happy, and that's true when I think about it. When I think of all the things that some changes mean that you're giving up on things, and then some changes mean that you're picking up things. So for either one of those, even when I was getting rid of things, I would miss them just for a while, and then I would just not even think about them anymore. And the things that I picked up.
Do you feel like you miss the things, or you miss like the idea, kind of like like a relationship with them, where you're like, oh, I need the TV streaming services. I really love that show. It's my favorite show. And then, after 2 weeks, you're like, why do I even waste my time with that show?
Yeah. Like, I don't even talk about them. I've watched so many shows that are just, they're not even conversations.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel like it happens with all our habits lately. It's been like, oh, this is really important. And then we get rid of it, and we're like, oh, I kind of miss it. And then, why did we ever like that? 3 key takeaways. Number 1 was small changes in the amount you save and invest have big consequences over time.
Seemingly insignificant changes in how you spend your money on a weekly basis can go a long way to help you achieve financial freedom. So talking about, cutting out a coffee, or cutting out, eating out once a week, or just little things like that. It can really add up.
So first, he's telling us that we got to start investing small, and then second, stop spending small, like small little things, which is a good way to get everyone to start. I feel like everyone's afraid, but this way you're just taking baby steps.
You don't need a lot of money to start investing, as you'll learn even $25 a month will get you started.
Oh, we were doing $5 a week or 10 when we started.
10.
So I guess that's $40.
You can start with $5 a week, though. You could start with $5 a month.
For $5 a month, as we just learned, will change everything.
I recommend starting with that 5 and then letting it come out of a few paychecks. Once you realize you don't notice it, then bump it up to 10 and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Or start with more than 5 if you can.
No, you can't say that enough. Because once you start, you'll see it's working and you'll want to. There's no like, it might, no, it will inspire you. Once you see that first $5 being made off your 25, you're like, what? So imagine if that was 200, that'd be $50. Imagine if that was 2,000, that'd be $500. Like, it gets you excited. Any other final notes?
Now for chapter 6.
Chapter 7, investment returns. Long-term compound is an investor's best friend, so why get in its way?
Oh yeah, that is cool.
And the thing is you know this works because people have been doing it for years and years and years. And I mean, that's what wealthy people do, is they invest their money. So you know it works. It's not sitting here being like, oh, is it a scam? Does this work? Is this real?
Yeah, it's crazy how you can convince yourself that reality is different than what it is. Like I can convince myself that the food I'm eating is good when everything tells me that it's not. I can convince myself that everything is fine with my sleeping schedule, even though I don't wake up at the same time. But the most important one, or the one that we're talking, the one that the book is talking about, is we convince ourselves that somehow this whole world of investing and financial freedom it's not for us. It's for the people who already have it. How does that make any sense?
Yeah, and if you talk about getting it without working a normal 9 to 5, a lot of people think that you're crazy, and they're like, that's not, how are you going to do that?
I literally had this talk with a coworker yesterday, or I guess it was the day before, but he literally was like yelling at me. He's like, what do you mean you expect to just live off investments? How's that even possible? What are you going to do? Invest in the stock market? I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Like, he even knows the answer to the problem, but he just was like, no, you can't just invest in the stock market. Like, but you can. But you can.
Yeah, we convince ourselves that it's some magic. I don't know. It's weird.
It's just weird that people even know the answer, and they're still like, you can't just do that.
The unknown of the stock market.
I think with my dad, when we were talking about it yesterday, he was saying that it's lack of education.
Absolutely. That's where all fear comes from. People are afraid of bears because they don't understand the way they work. But if you were upwind from a bear, then he can't smell you. You have nothing to fear. Then you lose all fear. It's just lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge.
And that's why you need to learn with us.
3o3.
And you.
So what's chapter 7 about? What's the most important thing?
He goes over the 72 rule.
Is that a question?
Is that your final answer?
The rule of 72 enables us to estimate how long it will take to double our money given a certain interest rate.
It's 72 divided by the year's current interest rate to determine or predict how long it will take you to double your capital.
Gotcha. Well, let's do some numbers, yo. Well, if let's say you're getting 10%, I know that it takes about 8 years or something to get a first double. Or it's not 8 years, it's eight returns. So let's say I invest $1,000. However long it takes me to get 8 times the return. So let's say if it's monthly, it's going to be 8 months. If it's yearly, it's going to be 8 years. If it's daily, it's going to be 8 days. Usually it's yearly.
And he points out that most people don't think there's a big difference between 7 and 9%.
Yeah.
But there's actually a huge difference, even in just 1%.
It does mention that losing just 3% over the long run can have major effects.
Yeah, 0.3% shrinks your wealth down like over $200,000, I think, if I'm looking at it right.
Not even a whole percentage.
And then 1%, literally, how much do you lose? $500,000. 1% difference.
Holy. Wow. That made me sick.
Yeah, because it's over a lifetime. Yeah, that's crazy. Then we wonder, so if we do the math, if this is right, which history has proven that it is, then this means, let's say we start investing now, our grandkids could be millionaires.
No, but you're right. Our grandkids. Well, I mean, I've been thinking about that from this book. Is it sounds like if we make enough money and you keep it, then you don't have to like sell all your stuff off when you die. You hand it over. You're like, here's my investments. They'll keep you alive if you. You don't have to do anything. They'll keep you alive.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you just kept handing down your investments generation after generation forever and ever?
People do that. There's people who freaking do that.
We're gonna.
I love it.
I'm secretly not resenting my
Yes.
ancestors right now.
No, that part's hard for me too. Is part of me wonders like, why? Where did my great grandfather, not invest?
It was harder back then. Look, I just thought of this. Maybe we should think, let's not give our grandkids any reason to think that of us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there will be no why.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, thanks, Grandpa, for all this money. I've never even met you, and I'm spending all your money.
That is going to be so cool. Hopefully they'll be smart.
That's all we can get out of Chapter 7 is the 72 rule.
It's very useful to think of doubles. When you think of doubles, it makes it easier to give you goals. Let's take $1,000. How many doubles does it need to get to $1 million? So you go from 1,000 to 2,000. So 10 doubles. So $1,000 would become $1 million after
10 years, right? Correct?
No. That would be either 80 years, I think.
He's saying your money has to completely
8%.
double.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's where the whole point is that's where you get your first $1 million, and then it's 8 years from there, or eight times of that $1 million investing or doubling. You now will have another $1 million. So it might have taken you, 40 years to get that first $1 million, but now it's not going to take you another 40.
Yeah, exactly. Only 8 or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And then you get another $1 million.
Because you're saying that the return on $1 million at like 9% would be 90,000. Is that right?
Yearly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
yearly. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
I just making sure.
So then you'd have to wait for that 90,000 instead of that 1,000.
Okay, so if you got $1 million into your account and then you wanted to live and budget really well, I could live off of $90,000 a year. So you can just live off of your profits.
Yeah, I think the math it's 4%. Yeah. So if you need $2,000 a month, then at 9% you need $700,000 invested. You don't even need $1 million,
and that's
and
awesome.
that would give you the 2,000.
Because I gotta save $1 million. That sounds like an unreachable goal, but 200 more than 500,000. That sounds reasonable. And in a lifetime.
And it really depends on what you're going to need for money for bills and what you're actually going to need to survive. Which you just sent me that thing the other day. These people live on a houseboat
so they don't have to pay land
lake,
taxes.
And they don't pay land taxes. They pay like $2,400 a year is all they pay for housing. Like their entire expense. Like that's what I pay a month. So
wow.
Different ways of living.
As I'm just saying, if you did it right, you could easily live like cheaply, but not like with not lacking anything.
There's lots of alternative ways. Never thought of the houseboat comes without land.
We sent you the TikTok. It's $224 a night. I want to go there. We're gonna go next vacation.
A sister houseboat that they rent out.
Okay, well, it's $224 a night.
Oh, see, that's what I read. 200.
That's all one read.
I'm like, hard pass.
All right, guys, we'll be back next week with Retire Before Mom and Dad. We're gonna do part 2. I'm not sure what chapters they are.
It's financial freedom, chapters 8 through 12, at least in the book.
So you better read them.
If not, you won't be caught up.
Okay, bye.
See y'all then.
See you later, alligator.
Bye. See you later.
Thank you for joining us this week. We hope you've enjoyed our discussion and found it both informative and entertaining. Please stay connected with us and continue the conversation on our social media. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. You can also catch us on most podcast platforms and catch up on previous episodes. If you have any suggestions or topics you'd like us to explore in the future, we'd love to hear from you, and you can reach out to us via email at 3o3andyou@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a review and share the podcast with your friends and family if you've enjoyed what you've heard. We will be back next week with more engaging topics and insightful conversations. Until then, take care, stay curious, and happy learning.